Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Hope you're having a fun 420. Is it surprising at all that Elon Musk and the team at SpaceX chose 420 for the first launch of the Starship rocket, the most mammoth thing that humans have ever put up into the sky? Quite a spectacular view from this morning. And how often do you see a rocket explode and then in mission control you see people popping champagne? Was this a success? Was this a failure? Let's get some analysis from my favorite astronaut. Marc Garneau is on the line, former astronaut, and of course you know him as well as a Liberal MP, a former Liberal MP, up until just a short time ago. Mr. Garneau, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks. Good to be with you, Elias.
I love now that we get to call you up and you get to put on the space expert reporter hat. I absolutely adore this. So let's get to this. What's your take on this morning? Success or failure?
Well, I'm going to go with Elon Musk and say it was a success because when you're developing a new rocket, especially the biggest rocket in the world, it's not uncommon for something to go wrong in the early flights, and you basically analyze all the data afterwards, and you make corrections until eventually it works properly.
What is it about Starship that just has the whole space community captivated?
Well, first of all, it's so big, and it is really an ambitious project. In theory, it will be able to take 100 people into space in the future, or tons of equipment for places like Mars, where you're going to set up eventually a colony or an outpost. So this is really on a massive scale. I think that's what's really thrilling a lot of people.
What's your take on the fact that now it seems that we rely on the private sector for much of space exploration? Obviously, NASA and other space organizations throughout the world have always relied on private contractors, but now it seems like we've got private companies leading the charge. What's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is that the government has always wanted the private sector to be involved, but the private sector was reluctant in the past, either because they didn't have deep enough pockets, because space is risky business, as we saw this morning. You can put a lot of money into it without necessarily getting a return. But because there are certain people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and a few others who are willing to reach into those deep pockets, NASA is encouraging them, and we will do the same thing in Canada. We have, for example, a plan for a private company to develop a launch capability in Canada. Whenever the private sector is ready to step up, we encourage them to do so, but they don't often do that unless they feel there's going to be a good financial return for them.
What do you think is the pathway here for future? Because if SpaceX is already saying, Elon Musk is already saying, there will be upcoming launches, other attempts. This is moving forward here on this. What do you think is the pathway to whether it's the moon or Mars or other types of space exploration?
Well, the pathway is to go to the moon and then eventually on to Mars. I think the Artemis mission that NASA is developing very clearly already has outlined that. You go back to the moon, you set up on the moon for a number of reasons, including developing what you need to eventually go on to Mars. It's a perfect test bed before you go on to Mars. And then eventually you do go on to Mars. But Mars is 6 months away in travel distance, and it's a very much more ambitious project. So you need a big capability like what we saw this morning, the heavy, super heavy-duty booster and the Starship spacecraft. Those are the kinds of capabilities that you need. Otherwise, you have to send a whole bunch of smaller missions to accomplish your objective.
We're with Marc Garneau, former astronaut, former Liberal MP, and our space expert for this morning. Marc, Elon Musk, his name, of course, has come up here in this interview. He's CEO of SpaceX. He's the owner of SpaceX. I'd love to know your thoughts. In a week where we see the conservatives using Elon Musk through Twitter, and a week where we see the prime minister calling Elon Musk an American billionaire when he's got Canadian citizenship, and I think now up to 10 Canadian children with Canadian moms. What's your take on Elon Musk? How do you view a guy that is so polarizing?
Well, I met him many, many years ago before all of this got going. He came to Vancouver for a space conference. There's no question that he is a visionary person. If you look at the SpaceX program, the Starship, Tesla, and even other projects that he has initiated, he's also a very complicated person. And as we see sometimes when he decides to tweet out there. So I think brilliant people are sometimes eccentric people. And you have to take the two together. But overall, certainly from a space point of view, I think he'll go down in history as a visionary person, and that's the part that I'm focused on. And
we've got one Canadian going to be on that Artemis mission that goes to the moon, Jeremy Hansen. Why don't we just wrap up here, Marc, by talking about the future of Canada in space? How do you feel about it?
Oh, super excited about it. First of all, the announcement that Jeremy will go on the Artemis 2 mission, which will orbit the moon. This will be the first time that Canada sends somebody to the moon, only the second country to have an astronaut go to the moon. And the reason for that is because we are solidly committed to participating in the Artemis program, whether it is on the Lunar Gateway space station that will orbit the moon, where we will provide the robotic capability, whether it is in developing a rover that will help us when we are on the moon. Canada has decided to commit to it, and along with the United States and some other countries. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's taking us to the next level.
Marc, I'm super excited about the fact I get to talk to you, not about politics, but about space. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
My pleasure, Elias. Have a good day.
That is the one and only Marc Garneau, former astronaut, former politician as well now.